Hi, it's Andre from Woodstock Years, and today it's all about Debbie Harry from Blondie and the early stages of Woodstock. Hi, it's Andre from the Woodstock Years, and we are counting down to the 50th anniversary of Woodstock, which will be in August this year. And today it's all about Debbie Harry and the early start for Woodstock. Now, you normally think of Debbie Harry and Blondie from 1979, which was their heyday as part of the new wave, but she was actually recording in the late 60s. And this takes us to the start of the Woodstock story, which is when Michael Lang, one of the partners in Woodstock Ventures, actually ventured over to Woodstock. Now, Woodstock was like a safe haven from New York. People like Bob Dylan had moved to that area, and they'd started having these things called sound outs. Now, what that was a band would play at the weekend, and then people would watch them out in the open, perhaps with a few blankets. And it was there that the seed was sown for having the Woodstock Festival. Now, Michael Lang had already done the Miami Pop Festival, but before they'd even thought about festivals, the first project was actually to have a recording studio. And for that, Michael Lang got in touch with a guy called Artie Kornfeld at Capitol Records. And when they met up, they talked about how people like Bob Dylan were in the area, and it seemed to make sense to actually get a recording studio together, although that didn't happen because this thing called Woodstock, the big festival, took over. But when he had that first meeting with Artie Kornfeld, it was Artie who said, actually, Michael was the second long-haired person he'd met recently because he'd just been speaking with someone called Debbie Harry out of a band called Wind in the Willows. So Artie Kornfeld, who was Michael Lang's partner in Woodstock Ventures, was also happened to be the producer for Debbie Harry's first ever record, way before Blondie, when she was in Wind in the Willows. So that's the link there. Now, while she was part of the Wind in the Willows, Debbie Harry wasn't the main lead vocalist. She was mainly a backing singer, although on the song Ginny Judy, she did actually do lead vocals. But the original project for Woodstock wasn't actually a festival, it was a recording studio. It was when Michael Lang and Artie Kornfeld, the producer at Capitol, who was also now the creative partner of Michael Lang, it's when they met with Dave Roberts and Joel Rosenbaum, who were the financial guys. It was those people that actually talked them into the Woodstock project, having the first music festival where they'd have camping, and that's being a more interesting project. So all of a sudden, the idea for a recording studio in Woodstock kind of fell away, but the Woodstock name did remain. And that's how Woodstock Ventures went from that first idea of having a recording studio. They just started, or Artie Kornfeld just started working with Debbie Harry, but they'd actually then moved on to planning for what would become the biggest festival. Before Woodstock, the biggest music event had been the Beatles at Shea Stadium with 50,000 people, but for Woodstock it would end up being 500,000 people. And one of the questions we're going to be trying to answer as we count down to August is, how come that wasn't predicted? But what did they all miss all those years ago? I believe now, I've been on this for about 3 months, going through all kinds of books and online, and I think I've got at least 2 of the answers. Don't claim to have all the answers, but I think I've got 2 of the main answers. So this is Andre from the Woodstock Years. Until next time, saying bye for now.